We'll go straight on to the next session now. We've got Mike in his eagerly anticipated day one slot for his product update. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, for the first time in many years, I don't have the last slot on the second day. Anyway, I just have a couple of updates to run through today. First one is kind of a little bit. It's not really a product, but it's more an update of where we are, what we do in regards to 1 gig ports. I think pretty much all of you know that a while ago we announced that we're no longer. Well, we stopped selling new 1 gig ports, and the main reason is like pretty much everybody else. It actually starts to become more expensive to deliver 1 gig ports now, rather than anything. And actually, we're even at a point where certain of the network equipment that we buy doesn't even natively support 1 gig ports anymore. And we didn't see much demand for it. At the time when we announced it, we actually gave January 24 as kind of the date when we would kind of fully stop supporting them. That is not really how it's going to work, but there are still some changes. So maybe just a couple of numbers. I tried to go back a little bit in time. So this is the port distribution as we see it. So this is purely customer ports, member ports, from 2015 until now. The blue part at the bottom is 1 gig ports. And you can see that, especially over the last couple of years, that has started to reduce quite a lot. 10 gig ports, surprisingly, actually stayed rather at a rather similar level over the years, even though 100 gig ports started to increase relatively rapidly. And there is a couple of 400 gig ports at the very end. I'm not sure you can actually see them, but in 2015, there were 500 1 gig ports, which was actually quite a large percentage of all of the ports. By now, it's still 176, but overall, it's a much smaller percentage of what's left. The graph looks completely different if you actually look at, well, how much do these ports contribute to the total aggregated bandwidth that we deliver? And actually, you can see that 1 gig ports, they're noise, which doesn't mean they're not important. We know that there's still a number of members who like to use them, and they are sufficient for their specific use cases, and they have equipment that might not support them. It leaves us a little bit in a situation where we don't really want to just tell everybody to cancel them just for the sake of canceling them, but it is clear that we don't want to spend more money on 1 gig ports. And if you actually look, and here I took the example of LINX1 and LINX2, where these ports are actually located, it's not a surprise that probably in the older sites we have, so the majority of the 1 gig ports, it's really not a surprise, are in telehouse. And a lot of them are probably ports which have been ordered 10 years, 15 years ago. And they're still there and have still a little bit of traffic. There's still some use cases. But it leaves us with a bigger issue in some of the smaller sites. Trying to find equipment to support a very small number, 1 or 2 1 gig ports, and making sure we put a device in there that still supports 1 gig ports. It actually it feels like a waste of money to try and do that, which is really what the current plan is. So we will support them as long as it makes commercial sense to support them. We're not selling any new. We don't change that. But there is a number of network upgrades which are going to happen over next year. There's a bit of a network refresh happening on LINX1, where some of the smaller sites, we would actually have to add additional equipment just to support 1 or 2 1 gig ports. So in those cases, we're going to contact these members and basically tell them, well, we're sorry, we're not going to be able to support this port anymore. Same on LINX2. Due to equipment upgrades in the second half of the year. Again, same thing, but we're talking about 2, 3, 4 1 gig ports in total. And Nova, the refresh, which got mentioned in the technology update earlier. So that goes to the Nokia platform. There is no native 1 gig support there. There are only 3 1 gig ports there, and actually 2 are from one member. So those won't be available. But in general, we'll continue to support them where we can, where it makes sense. If we would have to spend money on buying equipment just to support them, and it's only a couple, we're probably going to contact these members and cancel them. That's 1 gig ports. Portal updates has become quite regular that I use this time just to give a quick update on things that have changed, and there have been a lot of further changes and improvements. One that I thought was worth mentioning, it's what we internally call hybrid automation. It's using all of the backend system, order management system, tools that we use for the fully automated order, for logical services, private VLAN, or increasing bandwidth of a peering service, using those also for services, if it's physical port. Obviously, at the moment, we can't fully automate that. We don't have the capability to replace an engineer going and patching in a port. That's not fully automated. But we're still using the backend systems for all of those orders. The services get created, all of the backend systems are in use. You get the updates on the portal of the status of your order. When a manual step is required, it gets handed over back to the NOC. The NOC does that work and basically pushes it back into automation, which then delivers the service and does the feedback to the member and completes the order. So quite a lot of internal benefits, really makes our life much easier, more efficient to deliver these services, and also becomes a bit more transparent as you get the feedback through the portal. And the full automation is also by now, changes to your services are also by now fully automated. Other improvements, this is one example. If you're using PI services until recently, the only thing you saw on the portal if you looked at your services was really a rather simple list of all of your PI bundles and intra-site or inter-site patches that were there. It didn't show you which ports on a bundle are actually in use or to where they go. So that's how now, unfortunately, as I took it from the real portal, I had to gray out pretty much everything here. Since this is a real example. But this is what you see. If you have a bundle, it will show you, in this case it's telehouse, so it's 8 ports on the bundle. It will show you which of the fibers on that bundle are in use, to which member they go, and if it's you who ordered it, or if it's the other member who ordered it, since obviously that kind of decides who can cancel it. That's live now if you're using PI. Hopefully it saves having to ask the NOC, can you send me a list of which ports are free on which bundle or which bundles I actually have. So that's available there. We also have done some changes, improvements on the co-location and cabling services side. There's some more work to come there, but again, it goes into the same direction. And we're also working, we had quite a bit of feedback of what information is actually shown on the invoices that you get at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, since we changed the finance systems not too long ago. So we're looking at those and trying to improve those again and bring back some of the information that was available before and that isn't available now. And last but not least, a little bit about other products we are working on. I talked a little bit already about remote triggered black hole capability on the root servers. We were hoping by now to have that launched. We came across, as we wanted to be available on all of the LANs, on all of the root servers, and as we're using Bird and OpenBGPD, we obviously wanted to make sure it works on all of them. I think the last final remaining issue that we found has been solved and addressed now and tested. So hopefully this is going to go live very early in Q1. We're also looking at a more advanced scrubbing-based solution, again, using root servers only for your peering traffic. We'll talk much more about that next year. This is really just a bit of a sneak peek. We're looking into that, and there's more to come. Private VLAN. We added Q&Q support earlier in the year. We also opened it up so that you can use private VLAN between your own ports on a peering LAN, so it is no longer restricted between two different members. And we had some feedback that for some use cases it actually would be helpful to be able to increase the MTU that you can use. So we're looking into that in allowing you more flexibility in having large MTU. In the end, we're doing it already in order to support Q&Q, but that's only 4 byte increase. But that's going to come next year. And Cloud Connect, where we currently offer ExpressRoute, AWS, and Google. So we're looking into, based on demand, really adding other cloud providers, and also further work on the integration between us and the cloud providers or the partners that we use to further automate the delivery of that. And I think that's the last one. It's just a quick update on Maps, Microsoft Peering Service, which we started initially offering on LINX1. For those who don't know, it provides a direct peering with AS8075 without having to actually talk to them. You just talk to us and make it happen. So we launched last year on LINX1. We've this year expanded it to Manchester, and again, it's local interconnects with Microsoft in Manchester, and to Nova relatively recently. Again, it's local interconnects with Microsoft in Ashburn. We're looking into where else we see demand on it. And I think that's all that I had. Questions on any of these?
Okay, thank you, Mike.